You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Welcome back to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. We're also brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. Now, Christopher has given us bumper music today of theme songs from movies in the 80s. And that's what we're listening to now. And
this guy was very much a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
That probably doesn't help at all.
No, that doesn't help me at all. I'm sorry, I got nothing. Which one is this?
From St. Elmo's Fire. The song called St. Elmo's Fire by John Parr.
Oh, okay. There we go. I should have known that. Well, I'm batting at 500 right now. We'll see.
So not bad.
That's not too bad. We'll see if that improves here after the next segment. But welcome back, folks. We're glad that you're with us today here on Where You Live. And before we get back into our topic, I just would like our listeners to know, besides the free newsletter that we put together bi-monthly that can be yours by giving us a call at New Concepts at 952-922-2500. I want you to know that you can also go to our website at www.newconceptsgroup.com. And there you can find out more about our company. There's a pull-down menu under Education and Resources that talks about the radio show and also how to contact me if you have questions that you would like me to address on the show. We do have some that are saved up, but I'm going to try and get to those before the end of the show today. And so if you would like to know how to ask a question, you have a topic for something you'd like us to discuss, go to our website again, www.newconceptsgroup.com. Our story today is from the state of Florida. An unfortunate situation. 30 homeowners bought into a condominium association. The developers own 90% after 7 or 8 years. No more units have been sold. And the developer, because they own a supermajority of all of the property, they have the right under the governing documents to establish laws, rules, and regulations, and in this case, to dissolve the corporation, and that's what they're looking at doing. And so we're talking about, is this unfair or is this unfortunate? Lawmakers in Florida are saying it's unfair, and because of that, we need a law. And we do want our people in government, our politicians, to create laws for things that are unfair. What I'm stating from my position here at the beginning of the show is I don't think that this is a situation of unfair. I think this is a situation of something being unfortunate. And even though something is unfortunate, that will happen to all of us. And I don't want to seem like I am just a cold-hearted person. But I don't know that it is reasonable for everybody to expect that anytime something happens that is a disadvantage for you, that there's going to always be someone who's going to be there to scoop you up and take care of things and to make things go better. And that's not the way life works. And I don't know that it is something that we can have as an expectation from our government. The more that we expect our government to pick up the pieces anytime something fails in our life, a lot more money is going to be needed, and that's got to come from someone, and that comes from us, and there comes a point where it becomes unsustainable and something you can't continue on. And so I'm wanting us to take a look at this situation. Is it really unfair or unfortunate? Do we know the difference? Do we care? And so let's take a look at more closely at what's happened here at Villa Laguna. Talk to you about 300 units, only 30 homeowners. They're going to lose their homes now because the developer wants to dissolve the corporation known as the association. Now, a couple of the things that I think is important here is that Again, in the sports analogy that I used in the last segment, I'm going to use some of the same things here now. No one was holding a gun to the heads of anybody that purchased a home in the condominiums at Via Laguno. They did so on their own free volition. They came in and they said, hey, I'm interested in a property. And before they purchased a home in Florida, as is the case here in Minnesota, there is a requirement that the governing documents of the homeowners association is going to be read by everybody. Now, the people who bought in the Via Laguno Condominium Association in Florida, they all needed to state that they, number one, read the governing documents. Number two, that they understood those governing documents. And number three, that they accepted the terms and the conditions of those governing documents. Now, I will submit to you that if you know what you're doing before you enter into that situation, how can you call it unfair? How can you call it unfair if you know what the consequences are? If you did not like the idea or possibility that others could have control over a huge purchase, an investment, your home, and actually dissolving the corporation when you would want to stay there, why would you enter in to an agreement with a group of people? And if you said, well, I really didn't understand that that was in the governing documents, then my next question is, why were you so cavalier and not taking it seriously? One of the things that I'm concerned with in homeowner associations that I've seen in my 27, 28 years plus in managing homeowner associations, I found that there are a majority of people who have spent more time researching the cell phone that they're going to buy next, the computer that they're going to use, the TV that they're going to buy, the next car that they're going to buy, more than they do their own home. And if you don't take it seriously and don't understand the fact that, hey, their governing documents, here's 100 and some pages. And if there's 100 and some pages, that would make me weary to say, you know what, I better make sure I understand. Because if someone couldn't say it simply and had to take over 100 pages to say this is how things are going to be, you got to realize that this is no small matter. And so how can you purchase a home and be cavalier about this? So for the homeowners to say it is unfair, I don't think is a fair statement for them to make. I think it was completely fair. They knew and understood exactly, or should have, or had the opportunity to, of what could take place. And you need to take a look in any situation. If you're going to purchase something, what's the bottom line? What's the worst that can happen? And if we're going to be prepared in life, I like what my dad always said. He told me, he said, son, he said, don't be pessimistic. He said, prepare for the worst, but he said, hope for the best. I like to live that way, and people should. But did people actually prepare for the worst of what could happen? I don't think these homeowners did, but now they're saying this is unfair. So I'm asking, is it unfair? Is it unfair that the homeowners are going to possibly lose their home and not get as much money as they paid initially? No, it's not unfair, but it's very unfortunate. But let me ask you this. Is it unfair that the developers had to pay 90% of all the expenses for the last 7 to 8 years, while the other homeowners of only 10% have actually used and enjoyed all the facilities, all of the amenities, and have had all of that service provided for them and not had to pay the actual cost or dollar? but only had to pay a portion of that. Was that unfair for the developer? I'm going to say no. It's unfortunate, but the developer knew what was going to be taking place. So we need to remember that if you're going to purchase a home and you're going to purchase with ownership with other people, you need to realize and understand that there's going to be documents that are going to be drawn up on how you're going to relate to one another, on how things are going to be done, how things are going to be established. And in this particular case, we have something that is unfortunate, but I don't know that I see this as something that is unfair. I'm going to end with this on this segment. That is my preference when I take a look at a situation like the Via Laguno Condominium Association. My preference is that I want my government to be correcting what is truly unfair in order to protect not only my interests, but the interests and rights. That means the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of everyone. And it's when government is instead in the practice of correcting all of the quote unquote unfortunate that we find that those rights are being impinged upon. Well, don't go away. We've got a lot more to cover, a number of questions from listeners after these messages.